my mind is made up.
Hey guys, this is Eric Kyle, publisher of Latitudes and Attitudes magazine.
And I'm David Levesque, editor of Latitudes and Attitudes, and welcome to Three Sheets, our podcast where we chill and chat with individuals making a difference in the cruising lifestyle.
Each episode, we'll dive into all things cruising related and bring you some of the most influential characters out there. So sit back, grab your favorite bottle, light them if you got them, and enjoy the adventure. Hey guys, Eric Kyle here, publisher of Latitudes and Attitudes magazine. I am having a blast today. As a matter of fact, David Levesque, our editor extraordinaire, Latitudes and Attitudes, joining me today for our Three Sheets podcast. And we've got some very special guests today. I'd like to introduce Max and Abby. Is it SV Every Day? Is that the name of the channel?
Yep, every day, sailing every day.
Outstanding. That is absolutely incredible. So how are you today?
Good. Thanks so much for having us. We've been looking forward to chatting with you guys.
Yeah, well,
We've been looking forward to
be here.
We've been looking forward to having you. I just want to correct something real quick. You said joining us today is me. I'm joining us every day.
Yeah, but you're not joining me here in the office because usually you're in Buffalo in your kitchen having a snack when you join in on this. Now you're actually in the office. First time ever, David and I have been together to do this.
First time ever podcast where we're in the same place at the same time. And you
Very
guys
cool.
get to be our victims. I mean, subjects. So
I think it's good for us.
Yeah, we're
I-
honored
I-
to see you in
I-
one frame.
listen, it can only be good for us too. So we're excited by this. So yeah, as Eric said, welcome to our Three Sheets podcast. We're hanging out here in the intergalactic headquarters of Latitudes and Attitudes magazine, chatting with Abby and Max. And so you guys are in Jersey.
Currently.
A lot of your socials, beautiful photos. You guys are you have been cruising, right? But you've been getting the boat ready for circumnavigation, right?
Yes, that's the plan. We're making upgrades. Our boat was made in 1984. And we're kind of just ticking things off the list, trying to prioritize what's the most important.
It's a long list. But yeah, we have been cruising every summer. We make a point to really utilize the boat now that we have it. At least besides living on it every day, except for this winter, we make a point to go to New England, spend like 2 weeks, and go see. Well, last year where we hung out in Block Island, we went to Newport, cruised back, Montauk, Thimble Island. So we definitely, are trying to utilize it as much as we can, but we work every day. So
Yeah, and we brought the boat, our maiden voyage, we got the boat up in Michigan, and we brought it back through the water to New Jersey. So that was a whole excursion in itself, going through the lock systems and the Erie Canal. So that was quite an adventure. And we've also done some cruising on other boats before we got our boat. So
they're
yeah,
like,
tons.
they're like partial loopers.
Well,
We're totally partial loopers. Yeah, for sure.
Love it.
that's what they say, right?
Yeah.
We've got a
And
lot
you
of
guys are
accolades from a lot of loopers.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oompa Loompas. So you're about to dive into this whole cruising lifestyle and make it a full-time gig, whereas right now you guys have been dabbling in it. You found a
Yeah.
boat. You think that you can do the cruising lifestyle on this boat. And by the way, it's an incredible boat. So what led to all this? I know, Max, you were a competitive racing sailor for a while, and Abby, you weren't even on a boat 4 years ago.
No. Yes, it's very interesting. Well, the boat actually, the boat kind of found us and came to us, and I'll let Max kind of tell that story because this was BA. This was before Abby. So this was like 12 years ago.
Yeah, totally BA. Yeah, I've still am, plan to race all the time. We just got back from J70 midwinters in Florida. Story for another time, went horribly. But I was raced on this boat like 14 years ago now. Once my father made friends, they were sailing a race in the Caribbean. They made friends with some guy who was also racing from Michigan. That dude invited us out to race his boat in the Queen's Cup, which is the second largest inland lake race, distance race. It was an overnighter. Long story short, we won. It was blowing like 35 from about just forward of the beam, so no boats could really square off and go or
Weren't some
anything.
people demasting at
Yeah,
the start
two
line?
boats demasted at the start. Like it was hellacious storm and it was like really crazy. But this big Pearson 530, just 50,000 pounds. Like we raised four sails and she just laid over and just plowed due east. And we won the whole overall, the whole everything. And I turned to the guy Rob and I was like, dude, because I was driving the boat all night. He went to sleep at like 10 p.m. He didn't wake up till the race was over. It only took like 5 hours, 6 hours. We were across the lake when after he went to bed. But I turned to him and I said, dude, if you ever go to sell this boat, call me up first. And then he did like 2022.
Yeah, this spring. So it'll be 2 years
And I
this
just
spring.
I was like done. I started paying him and then we went out there 6 months later and
Well,
worked on it.
we have to note that Max showed me one picture of the
Yeah.
boat,
One picture.
and I was like, huh, that's interesting. I've never thought about living on a boat before, but I guess let's do it. So I quit my job and we moved out of our apartment, rented a car, and drove up to Michigan and sanded the whole bottom, repainted the whole bottom, did a bunch of work, and then did the loop, half the loop.
Half the loop. Yeah.
Well, that's epic. What part of, is that out of Holland, Muskegon? Where were you at over there?
Exactly.
Muskegon.
Yeah.
It goes from Muskegon to Milwaukee for the Queen's Cup, right?
Yep, straight across. Yeah. So you do the feeder race. They get a bunch of the boats over from Muskegon to Milwaukee. They have a little race just to help get the whatever 35, 40 boats that want to do it. And then it's straight back. The bearing's literally 90. Like it's real simple. And it was just like a beam reach. And it was so crazy. We woke the guy up at like 3 a.m. We're like, hey Rob, like GPS says we're like 3 miles from the shore. And he was like, there's no way. I've done this race, 15 times. We don't finish till noon the next day. Like, blah, blah, blah. He gets up, he looks at the GPS, starts jumping up and down. We won. We won. We were like, hold on. Like, we don't know. He goes, we won.
And then your eyes
there's
adjust
like
and you
there's
see the
no
lights behind you.
yeah, that's right. And we turn around and you like kind of let your eyes adjust, and there was just red and greens along the whole horizon behind us. And it was arguably a pursuity PHRF race. So the slow boat started first. All these boats should have been way ahead of us. Like we beat so many boats that we shouldn't have even beat over the line, let alone corrected. I was just like, this boat's amazing. I gotta,
So this is a 53 Pearson, correct?
Yeah.
correct.
Okay, and so there's a lot of space for a couple to be on a 53-foot boat. That's a pretty good sized boat, and that's a hell of a find, by the way, which is, again, it's a phenomenal boat. So what made you decide that after racing this boat that this is a lifestyle you wanted to jump into and do the whole live aboard thing and try to convince your girl mechs to do that as well? What was the thought process there?
Or who convinced who actually is what we're getting at here.
Well, I don't know. I didn't even know. I'm so new to the sailing world that I didn't even know people lived on their boats. Like I didn't know this was a thing. I discovered young cruisers and found out like this whole community of people are doing this, and I was really intrigued by it. And I've always we both grew up right on the beach basically. So I've always been a beach baby, ocean baby, but
I think it comes from
not being able to afford to live on land.
well, yeah, it's like a myriad of different things. Like we live in New Jersey. It's the most densely populated place in the States. It's excruciatingly expensive to live. And especially kind of where we are, it's really expensive to live. And that's why, the work that me and my father do, like mechanical work, it works because, whatever, it works. But that's one thing, like this rat race, this just general rat race that America, or whatever, we've like kind of cultured to be this thing. You go to school, then you go to more school, then you get a job and you're in debt, and then you work till you're 65, and then you could go on vacation, like for real, and you retire and go see some things. And we've traveled some. I've traveled a bunch, and we've traveled some together, and we actually met down in the Grenadines, like for real, even though we grew up 5 miles apart from each
3
other.
miles.
Yeah, but so we just really enjoy, like there's other ways to live, right? Like there's fully other ways to live. These people are doing it. They're living life. It's not our definition of life that our social norm is here, but you cannot argue that it's not life. They're living it.
Yeah.
And
I think the catalyst for me, my dad died in 2017, and that really put my whole life into perspective. And we're leaning into our childhood dreams. Like when people say life is short, it's so corny, but it's so true because I've always wanted to work as an artist and just be free and get to travel and see the world. And Max is the happiest when he's on the water. Like I fell in love with Island Max down in the Grenadines. And then we came back to New Jersey and he's just working away. He's in crawl spaces and he's miserable. He comes home like covered in dirt and oil. And I'm like, oh God, we got to get out of here. Like it's scary.
there's better ways to do it, and now that we've seen it through all these other channels, and they're proving the point that there are better ways to do it. And some of them are really unskilled and they get it done, right? Like it's kind of real impressive.
It's like the world according to Max, and Abby, and the world according to cruisers are pretty much one and the same, right? It's like
Right.
it's what we want to do, So let's back up a little bit because looking at the bios that Abby had sent us earlier. So Max, you were introduced to the sailing world in the womb, she says, in the womb,
Literally.
which
His
really
mom was climbing a mast pregnant with him.
exactly. I mean, you can't go much further back in your sailing background than, I mean, I guess conception would be the closest you can get to it.
That happens from time to time. I
We've
don't
heard
know
it.
why. And
We've heard it. We haven't seen it.
it's a hell of a sailing resume for sure, Max.
It is. But then you said you grew up 3 miles apart from each other. Where did you guys live? Where's home for you? Original
So
home.
we're from Monmouth County. I grew up in a 1 square mile town, and Max grew up across the river in Middletown.
Yeah, I was in Red Bank and Abby was in a town called Fairhaven.
And we never met each other because we always grew up going to different schools. And I grew up playing soccer on land, and Max was always sailing. And so we were kind of just, our paths never crossed until
There's 5 big high schools around us.
we were down in the Grenadine Islands.
Yeah.
What were you both doing in the Grenadines at the same time?
Well, it's a long story, but
We got plenty of time.
I was working as a nanny at the time for this family who owned this beautiful big sailboat that they had down in Grenada. Well, Max knew my bosses
The guy's my family friend,
from sailing.
one of my father's good friends. And for like the past year, going back 3 years ago, he was like, you got to meet my nanny. You got to meet my nanny. You got to meet my nanny.
The nanny and the sailor.
And I was taking care of the boat. We were bringing the boat from Antigua down to Grenada. And
I flew in with the mom and the kids, and Max and the dad, Jeff, came sailing into Grenada. And I was like, who is this guy? And yeah, we kind of just hit it off. And then we ended up in St. Lucia in February. That was like right before COVID hit. And my bosses presented me this opportunity. They were like, if you've been working for like 10 days straight, like blah, blah, blah. If you want to stay in St. Lucia with Max on our boat, feel free. I'm like, fly back to cold New Jersey with 2 screaming babies on an airplane, or stay in St. Lucia with this guy I just
Island
met.
Max. Island
With
Max.
Island Max. So,
Exactly, yeah.
well, they
Got
actually
it.
call him Orange Mon down in the islands.
Yeah.
That's his island nickname.
well known from Rodney Bay all the way down to Kirikou as Orange Man.
In St. Lucia.
You're like a
yeah.
legend, dude. You're a total legend down there, huh?
We've definitely made some inroads off the beaten path up in the hill. I have a godson in St. Lucia named Max.
Yeah, they named him Max.
Like it's
Wow.
It's serious.
So I'm curious because there's a lot of people that are going to be watching this that are familiar with the cruising lifestyle and are inspired by the cruising lifestyle to go replicate what you guys are trying to do, especially since you're about to embark on your journey. They probably want to know where did you have to start from in order to get to the place that you're at. And we've kind of covered some of that information, but I'm interested in Abby finding out from you. Max has been doing this for a while. Max is used to sailboats. Max has been involved in this dream for a long time. You were introduced to it 4 years ago. Are you just doing this for Max, or is this something that you really wanted to do? And what's that transition been like?
Well, it's interesting because when I first met Max, I felt like he was speaking a different language. Like I really had no idea what he was talking about. And I was like, I learned real quick, I have to learn this new language if I want to be with this guy. So, and it's his passion, and I want to support his passion just like he supports my passion. So, moving on to the sailboat for me, I had no idea what to expect, but it has been actually like this beautiful blessing and opportunity for me creatively, because once we moved on to the sailboat, I quit my job working as a nanny and I leaned into my art full time. And Max was the one that was like, why don't you just, like try to sell your art and do freelance work and see what happens. And now I get to work and on our sailboat in our sailboat studio every day. And I think if you ask most artists, like what's the most important thing about a studio, it would be the natural light. And it's just like pouring in through every angle. It's super inspiring being connected to the elements and hearing the water. And I
think
like
it's an
live in
easy.
my own world.
I
I
think
really do.
I think it's an easy life to fall in love with when things are going well, right?
That's
Like
true.
a couple of Abby's experiences before
When
this
things are
boat were,
going well, she said.
yeah, it is. It's right when like a couple of Abby's experiences before this boat were on this other guy's boat, right? And it was no small boat. It was a Trip 72, all carbon, like cool racing cruising boat. So that was a really nice introduction to making 1,200 ocean miles, not necessarily the same on all size vessels and in that boat that's not 40 years old like ours, right? So things change and things are different. But again, I think it's just a pretty easy lifestyle to fall in love with when you're
Yes.
doing it. It's like all the struggle. You hear it in everybody's YouTube video. They're like, when we got out here, we're finally here in a place alone on a beach, all the hard work was worth it. It all
Right.
pays off in a blink, that much time. You're like, it was worth it. And that's how it is for me every time that we get to, let the lines off the dock. It's like, it's worth it.
When we left Muskegon on our maiden voyage,
Oh yeah.
we had it was like the most beautiful day. We had 5 sails up because we have a catch. Of course, it's Max.
Within 30 minutes of exiting the harbor, I have all 5 sails up. We have mizzen spinnaker, staysail, 2 mains going, and
He's
we're going
next.
like 10 knots up the lake due north. The breeze is at 140, and we're just ripping. And I'm just like smiling ear to ear. I turn to Abby. I'm like, this was a good idea. Like this was a good idea.
I'll always remember that moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well,
there we
something
are.
that we do some traveling, my wife and I, but we're not yet at the point where we're cruising sailors, and we aspire to be there at some point. And we learn a lot from talking to people like you guys who are out there actually experiencing it. But brother, I can go to a beach. I can fly into an island. I can go down to the beach, or I can charter a boat in the BVR or something like that. I can be on a beach. What's the difference? What's the difference between living on your own boat and being on that beach, or chartering a vessel and going to that same beach?
You don't have to pack.
You don't have to leave. You don't have a return ticket. So that's one thing I think. And like,
Well, and even like when Max has done some racing up in New Jersey and New York around here, we'll take our boat up as like the mothership for our crew, and like our friends can stay on our boat, and then we don't even have to go on land if we don't want to. We just jump from one boat to the other, and that's been really fun.
I think when you have everything you need and you can sustain yourself, without going back to civilization for a little duration, I think it's very visceral, where it just you feel like this is a good thing, like this is a positive thing that you're doing, like I think it gives you a lot of self-worth.
More in tune with nature and just being, connected. I always say we're not human doings, we're human beings. So I think sailing really like helps us be in the present moment, because you have no other choice. Like you're on a boat, that's all there is. Like you have to be there.
I love that.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And that needs to be on a Hallmark green card with one of your images on the front cover of it. I think it'd be fantastic. But no, I do love that. I've not been able to that's a leap. It's a leap of faith, guys. To be
Yeah.
able to go
100%.
from having those experiences when you're on charter, whether or not you're just day sailing your own boat, to be able to be out there to living on the boat, because it's another dimension that you guys are experiencing that we're not quite there yet, that we hope to get to. So thank you for expanding on that, because that really is that's inspiring.
It is another
It
dimension.
is
Like
for sure.
when you are, I always tell people, most of us, a 99.99999 will never go to space. Maybe in the future, whatever, Elon Musk doing his thing, but most of us are never going to go to space. But if you can get 500 miles offshore, that's really close to be in space at night when you're 500 miles from nothing and you can't see nothing, you can't see anything rather. It's special. And it hits you. You're like,
The water is a different color. Like
whoa.
I can't even describe this. Like the first time I was offshore, I thought I was going to be scared because I'm afraid of everything. And this was a whole new world for me. But I was like, I never want to go back to land. I was like, I love it out here. This is amazing. I could eat mangoes off the back of the boat in a hammock any day. Like, this is great.
Well, and truthfully, there's not a lot of people that are going to be able to have that experience. Out of the
Right.
volumes of people that aspire to go cruising, that do day sailing and race and all that kind of stuff, not a lot of people take that leap and go live aboard their vessels and get 500 miles offshore or get to that dimension that you're talking about. So you're really part of a privileged few, and I'm glad that you guys are having that experience. David's over here looking at a bunch of different websites, I guess. So he's got a couple things to contribute. I'm just waiting for him to
I know.
chime in at some point.
You know what? I'm going through your socials a bit while we're sitting here, because one thing that caught my eye with you guys right off the bat is both of you are extremely colorful. Not just in your personalities and your hair and all that stuff, right? But everything you wear. I mean, the sails on the boat. There's a photo on your Instagram. Looks like a beautiful bimini. Almost looks like a quilt. It's
Yeah.
That's my old college tapestry that was hanging on my wall. It's so funny.
And you've worked that into the boat. That's phenomenal.
Of course.
I love it. No,
We
but it's
lucked out with the spinnaker.
Yeah, the spinnaker is so special. We inherited that from the previous owner, Rob, who was an eccentric guy himself. And him and his friends hand dyed this spinnaker. And we get a lot of attention from it for sure.
Yeah.
no,
It
but
blew apart.
pretty much everything I see about you guys is just huge smiles, full of color, full of life, full of enjoyment of what it is you're doing. And as Eric was saying earlier, I mean, people that watch our podcast, listen to our podcast, people that read the magazine, we're here to inspire people. And it's really not coming directly from us. It's coming from people like you, and the writers of the magazine, the people we feature in the magazine are using their own personal stories of how they got here to inspire other people to get to that same point or beyond that. And I wanted to take this opportunity to tell you, I don't know if you saw our post on our socials a few days ago. I mean, today is February 8th, 2024, as we do this podcast, but I posted our boat people from our winter issue. You guys are actually one of the featured boat people in the next
Oh
issue,
my gosh.
which is the
Cool.
March-April issue 2024. That is currently starting to come out and trickle its way into the masses. So
That's
we'll be
awesome.
showing you that pretty soon, but I'm going to make sure
Cool.
we take that quote of yours, which is, we're not humans doing, we're humans being. I'm going to make that part of the magazine somewhere, because I absolutely love that.
Oh, I love that. I
It's a
learned that
tagline for
in
the whole title. Go ahead.
I learned that in grad school at some point. I have my master's degree in art therapy, so I'm very much into the psychology. So I don't know if I can take full credit for it. I'm sure somebody said it before me, but I'm honored.
So this, hang on, art therapy.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, I've heard music therapy. I know people that do music therapy. Not sure if I've heard of art therapy, but I like that. And your art, I mean, we're gonna go ahead and put this into the podcast and in the YouTube and all the tags, but it's abbymigginsart.com is your website.
Yep. Yep.
I said that right?
Yes.
Art therapy.
I was really impressed by the Frida picture. I gotta admit, I'm a Frida fan.
Oh my gosh, I'm
And so when I saw you
obsessed
on the
with
bow of the
Frida.
boat,
She's right over here.
I saw you on the bow of the boat looking exactly like Frida. I was impressed. Yeah,
Thank
the unibrow, the
you.
whole deal. That was
Oh
fantastic.
yeah. I've been dressing up as Frida for Halloween for like the last 10 years, and any occasion where I can dress up as her. I'm actually convinced that I was her in a past life, honestly. People are gonna think I'm
That's
crazy.
pretty awesome.
The last job I was at today, the owner of the restaurant was like, "Oh, I saw your girlfriend the other day. She was here. She was dressed as Frida."
Ooh.
Jay.
Oh yes, that's true.
Well, let's jump into the nuts and bolts about this because I know that Abby, you do art, obviously, and you take that as an opportunity to, I'm sure, generate income off of that. And your artwork is absolutely beautiful, by the way. Max, are you a mechanic of some sort, or what is it that you guys are currently doing to generate revenue to enable this cruising lifestyle?
My father has a mechanical contracting company, so we do a lot of hydronics, like boilers. We're here in Jersey, things get cold. We're heating up
Fifth
houses.
generation.
Yeah, we do air conditioning, a lot of radiant floors, water heaters, anything mechanical in your home. I'm not really your appliance guy, and I'm not really gonna change out your sewer line, but anything else in there, we kind of handle. I'm like sixth generation heating from physically going into the hills of Spain and making charcoal to immigrant coming over here and delivering charcoal and heating oil and ice blocks to now me and my father do like high efficiency modulating condensing boilers, like wall hung boilers. If you live anywhere cold, you may have seen one or know of them.
Well, I'm in Buffalo and he's in Toledo,
Yeah.
so we know a few things about cold. But so Max, you're talking about being an expert in heating. And as we're doing this podcast, you're both sitting in your boat and you're wrapped up like you're ready for an Arctic exploration. So you do have the heat working on your boat, correct? That's
Well,
happening.
not right now because the
Okay.
boat's on the hard and we're not plugged into anything. But last year we lived on the boat all throughout the winter in New Jersey,
And we had heat.
and we did have heat. I call him a heat miser.
Yeah.
Um,
We could make
so
60
yeah.
degrees positive. So whatever it was outside, we could add 60, and it wasn't usually less than 10, but there was a couple weeks where it was like 5 or 0, and it was a little chilly in the boat, but we made it by.
If we ever get cold, we just set stuff on fire. That's what we do.
See, we also have a hydronic bed topper.
Oh
So
yes, not sponsored, but
yeah, Navian should sponsor us because I put in a lot of their boilers and water heaters, and they also sell this hydronic bed topper, which it's exactly what it's a little mat
It's
you put on your
amazing.
bed. It hooks up to a little machine that you plug in. You pour water in it. You set the temperature. Oh my God, it's
and
you
that
don't
was a
want to
gift
get
from your dad. It was
yeah.
the most thoughtful present ever. We were like, wow, this
So
is
the
amazing.
bed's 95.
I said to Max, I'm
95?
like,
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
baby.
Max, turn on the bed. Like we
Dude,
won't get
listen,
in
if
before
my
it's
if my
on.
wife listens to this podcast, and I know she will, I'm gonna have to get this for Christmas because
It's worth it.
dude, I can't sleep in temps above 68.
Well, that's the thing. It has zones. So he can just
Okay.
put her side on 95 and you can chill
95.
out.
And I'm 30 degrees colder right next to her.
All right, I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around this. First of all, he's gonna keel over. So you're not making house calls when you're out there cruising, Max.
No.
So how are you generating revenue when you're out on the sea?
So it's a family business. Like,
Okay.
like I said, it's my father, and he's away now. So my parents are in Beckway, one of the Grenadines. That's their island of choice. After many years, they've been staying there for longer durations every winter. Now they stay there for about 4 or 5 months, and I run the whole business in the winter. But
he's not making any money when he's not working,
Yeah,
which is
so
why he's
what I'm
he's
able to, what I'm
always
saying is I'm able to
working.
take off work in the summer and go sailing a little
Right.
bit because my father's back home and he can run the business.
Right, they
That's
kind of work
perfect.
out a deal.
Right.
So a lot of people who are inspiring to go cruising who want to go full time have to figure out ways to be able to generate revenue. There are some cruisers that are out there that are going to be able to cruise for 4, 5, 6 months at a time, have to come back, replenish the coffers, go back out. Totally get it. Some cruisers want to go out and be gone forever and figure out ways to be able to generate income so they can do that year round.
Yeah,
So
we're
that's kind of what I
trying.
wanted to get to is that whatever the choice is for the cruiser that goes out there, whether it's for a few weeks, few months, or a few years at a time, there's ways to make it happen.
For sure, right? Like,
We're trying to work all our angles right now. I'm like, I mean, we've kind of partnered up with a few different companies that we're working with, Salty Sailor Coffee, Dunsel's. We're going to be moving in the direction of working with Creators Wheelhouse we're going to start making our friend Amelia's making our website right now, and we're going to team up with them to hopefully once we get these YouTube videos up, maybe we can start generating some, like people that want to help support us, which would be amazing.
or just like affiliate sales of certain products. We obviously, everyone probably watching, and you guys have seen it. You've seen these things on socials, affiliate sales, and I think in certain aspects a lot of it may be phony, but I think it obviously is a thing as a general, like it's real. And then, like, what are your skills, right? Like when you're out there, what did you do? You can still do it other places. Like we watch some of those other channels, guys are fiberglassing, and one of the ladies is she's sewing and making canvases, and they're doing it in
Project
Mexico.
Atlas.
They're fine. Like obviously I know that, or I feel as though I'll be fine because I can always teach sailing, right? Like I've taught sailing before. I can always go teach sailing at a local yacht club, or
And we want to get our
a
captain's
race program.
license.
Yeah, we plan on getting our captain's license, and our boat's big enough to, take out some people, right?
I think it's another way to get creative with income, and hopefully like my artwork can generate sales when we're off cruising around. So we're trying. I'm working on some articles for you guys, maybe get in the magazine a little bit. So
That's awesome. It's gas money, baby.
You
That's
know,
good
yeah,
stuff.
you know what?
exactly.
Choose the lifestyle, and everything else will fall into place with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
And that's it. And I listen, I admire that. I'm excited to follow you guys. Again, I've been excited to do this podcast with you. I know we've been trying to get this together for a while.
Yeah.
Totally fun talking with them.
Yeah.
They're actually kind of cool. They're kind of neat.
Well, you
Thanks.
use the word kinda. I just go straight to their neat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you guys are neat too. You're neat.
Well,
Yeah, I feel like, are you related to another sailor named Levesque? Like there's a guy named Peter Levesque. He's a really good sailor.
you
I've
know
never
what?
met him in real life.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
We're
Okay.
my family, my father's family originated from Quebec and migrated into the Canadian Riviera, which otherwise known as the coast of Maine. And so I don't know, there's a whole bunch of us down there, so I could be. I do know that I am related to a former professional wrestler named Triple H. His last name is Levesque. Yep.
Okay. That's your
So
claim to fame.
not much. No, there's no claim there at all.
So you guys planning on being into this whole cruising world, are you going to be partaking in some of the different events that happen in the cruising world, like coming up for the Annapolis show? Do you go to the Newport show? The Miami show's next week. Any of these shows, any other events? I see you're wearing a YCA hat. I absolutely love that. One of the best organizations for cruisers that are out there. What are you guys doing to dig in?
Well, the Annapolis Boat Show was a really great like marketing opportunity for us to kind of go and meet other people. And it was really funny because people were actually like recognizing us because, we're quite the characters. It was pouring rain at the boat show, and Max was in his bright yellow 80s, like classic
Just
jacket.
mock.
And people were like coming up to us like, "Oh, are you Max and Abby?" And Max was like, "What the hell is going on, Abby? Like, what are you doing?" People are recognizing us. I'm like, I know, kind of onto something here. So we're definitely going to be going back to the Annapolis Boat Show. We just missed the like raft up down in the Bahamas with the young cruisers. That looked amazing. So hopefully eventually we'll be able to get our boat into these places where other people are, but we're also kind of going in like a different direction. Max wants to go north first. Like the complete opposite of what everybody else is doing always, it seems like. So
Better keep those parkas.
yeah, right. Oh my gosh. Well, Max is always complaining about being cold. So I'm like, what are you gonna do when we're in Greenland, dude? Like, and he's like, more blankets, get that heated mattress topper. We're gonna have like a couple spares or something.
Let's turn it up to 95 degrees in Greenland.
Yeah.
What's next? I mean, Eric was sort of talking about what's next, but like, so when do you plan to just really leave the dock and go?
Well, we'll put the boat back in the water in April of this year, and we have to rewire the new electronics.
We said this to really go. We said summer of 2025. So
And now it's 2024.
now it's 2024. So we're gonna, do the same thing we did this past summer. Maybe make it a little bit longer of an excursion up to Northeast. We want to spend some more time in Montauk and like the North Fork of Long Island. It's super cool in there, Shelter Island and stuff like that. But maybe go back to Cuddy Hunk. We love Cuddy Hunk. It's super cool and just, I don't know, solitary, I guess. It's nice. Then work again all winter and then take the summer and go north. Just go up to Maine and try to just stay like just behind the cold. As the cold's leaving, you're going up and go up as far as you can until you're in Nova Scotia, maybe like Labrador, hopefully. And if there's a great weather window and you're right across from, if you're north enough and the weather's nice enough, maybe go 230 some miles, Greenland,
Casual.
like Disco Bay. And that would just be absolutely epic. And then hightail it back south before you get frozen up there, and make sure you're back in Maine by like early September latest.
It's still gonna be
And
cold.
then we would come back to Jersey, assess our situation, assess the boat on how it did, really sailing for like 3-4 months, decide if we need to work another winter and then go.
South.
Yeah, because I make the most money when my father's gone, right? Like there's a deal there where he's gone, it's his company, but like I make more money than I do when he's here. So it incentivizes me to bust my ass when he's gone. And it's, that's our rough plan.
Did you hear that, Dad? We need you to leave.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I personally just want to thank you guys so much for sharing your story with us today. I think it's very, very cool that you're about to embark on this incredible journey. And it looks like you guys are absolutely going to enjoy the hell out of it. So we want as much content as you can throw our way. Tell us how we can follow you guys on your channels. What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, for sure. So right now, all like live updates are through our Instagram at sailing.everyday. And then our friend is working on our new website, which should be up soon, www.sailingeveryday.com. And our YouTube channel is in the works. I'm working on editing our first video now. We already
It's
have
totally up. You can subscribe.
Yeah, we have 8 subscribers and we don't have any videos, so that's exciting. So definitely follow us on YouTube too, subscribe. That's Sailing Every Day as well. So
Everything's sailing every day. Just the Instagram is sailing.everyday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Humans doing versus humans being, right?
we are not human doings, we are human beings.
That's correct. You heard it here, kids.
Yeah.
Abby and Max, listen, every time we do these podcasts, we try to keep it to 45 minutes to an hour max. Every time we do this, we get wrapped into talking with people and we absolutely love it. And we could sit and talk to you guys all night long, but alas, we can't. So
Yeah, I feel you. It was so nice talking to you guys. We really appreciate your time and for spreading the good word.
Yeah, if you ever make it out to the East Coast, Central Jersey, New York, whatever, hit us up. We'll hang out.
Yeah.
We'll take you to a cool spot or something.
I want to check out that 95-degree topper thing. That's weird.
It's called the Nav.
Our bed is your bed.
You tell your wife it's called the Navian Mate.
Listen,
Yeah.
I'll let you know how that goes over in my house.
It's gonna be a good investment for you, I think.
I'm sure it'll keep my marriage healthy and happy.
We wish you guys all the best in everything that you do. So we salute you, and just be safe out there, have fun, and be sure to check in with us every so often, please.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much, guys.
We'll be following you.
Thanks. You too.
Cheers.
My mind is made up. I'm gonna sail away. Latitudes and attitudes will help me find my way with my loving cup.